Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a mid-shadow deck, and depending on how we go for time for this video, we may only cover one matchup, as I have one pretty insane Haven matchup that took me quite a long time. I was actually quite shocked by how long this one single matchup had taken me to actually complete, so it's pretty impressive honestly that I even managed to pull the win off on it. Overall though, this deck is probably one of the strongest decks in the current Unlimited format, as Mid-Shadow is just an all-rounder that really doesn't have a weakness necessarily to really anything for the most part. But at the same time, it can lose quite easily, or well, not so much easily, just at really bad times. I had played 10 games with this deck, managed 2 wins, where 8 of my losses had been to people pulling absolute crazy things out their ass as they were going through. Like, literally throwing up a ward the turn before I have lethal, and literally blocking out the only chance I had with Deathly Tyrant, or just the fact that I couldn't draw Ektar because it was in the bottom of my deck, and if I had have drawn it I would have been able to win the match instantly. Or in cases like Dragon, just where things were being pulled absolutely crazy combos off right as we're about to hit lethal, or Haven just absolutely going nuts on me sometimes. It was really crazy honestly. I was nearly every single one of those 8 games one turn off lethal. All I had a complete setup. I had lethal in hand, I had pretty much perfect, and then they'd pull the one card from their deck that would win them the game. Some cases top decking from absolutely no cards to win the game, like I had a matchup against Blood. It was honestly the worst time. I actually had to put the game down, it was so bad. But saying that, as soon as I picked it back up, it was very easy to win. So it was probably just a really bad streak of luck that happened to me, which was a little disappointing, but it means we still get a pretty nice video with those couple of wins, and hopefully I can cover both. If not, we will just have the one Haven matchup, but we'll get right into it and check it out. So this matchup was just absolutely nuts. I mean, I couldn't have had it any closer. It's an Elena Haven versus my mid-shadow here, so it's definitely one that I expected to get drawn out a bit, but I didn't expect it to be as crazy as it was. And it was mostly drawn out due to the fact that Ektar was basically in the bottom of my deck at that point, so all I could really do was continually flood the board and try and take out their cards, which left for a pretty insane impression. We start off with a very draw-heavy hand. I mean, double Soul plus double Demon is just crazy. But we get to start with Lady Grey, probably one of the better cards in this deck, honestly. Lady Grey has been pretty impressive. Of course, their turn 3 Elena, really a little bit of a problem. But D-Meter, well, gets us a couple of shadows, draws us a couple of cards. You can't really go wrong with that line of play, especially when setting up against turn 4. Jewel Priestess, not too big a problem. The Rabbit Healer, though, does cause a little bit of issue, as we do have to deal with both of these as effectively as we can. I do decide to go for the Prince Catacomb though. I had debated on using the Necromancer, but it just didn't really fit with the play I wanted to go for. Plus this way we can generate a bunch of shadows, and worst case, even if they buff, the odds of us clearing stuff is fairly easy. Not so lucky though. I mean, old Boldy there coming in to just crush our dreams. He's seeing our weakness. Banishment is the biggest weakness to this deck, but even in that situation, it's not the worst case. So I would definitely consider running maybe one Aisha, because that extra little bit of reach could have helped me probably win games a little quicker, but Deathly Tyrant also isn't bad, so it's really hard for me to decide which way I'd want to go with it. Deathly Tyrant's good because it can be used earlier, but Aisha's good because I guess it's just got that double attack, which means you can easily get over one and then hit face, or you can just use it as 5 damage. So, really hard to decide which way I'd want to go, but either one could be pretty interchangeable. So the first Tenko for the game coming down now was not too big an issue for me. It was great that we had that Belinus, as the Evo on it allows us to instantly trade with this Tenko. But as you can see, we're kind of playing on the back foot in the sense that we're the ones who are reactive, and I did decide to waste this Lady Grey for draw because I felt draw was more important here. Plus, our turn 7 is actually going to be pretty nice if we get a follower that we can hit. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to play a follower for us, so that makes our whole game plan a lot worse. At least the Bone Chimera plus Catacomb play does give us a reasonable board, because it means as soon as those are hit, they will spawn a bunch of skeletons. Pegasus Sculpture, so they're definitely locking in those heals. And we get a nice Death's Breath. Plus the fact that I can use this Catacomb to my advantage. Why not? The only real disadvantage would be if they hit the 1/1 Bone Chimera, because then we'd lose a lot of value. Luckily they missed that. So it means our Chimera is going to have a lot of value with 3 skeletons coming out of it. And so they are getting that value there, being able to heal up nicely. Fortunately for me, my zombie party worked out really well. That's what I mean, we were able to flood the board pretty effectively. The bigger problem was the fact that we had to continually do this over and over again, for basically the whole match. And then this Gem Princess really ruining our day. I mean, getting double heal every turn with an Elena just absolutely buffs these cards absolutely massively. So I had to come up with a way to remove this as effectively as I could think of while getting the most value. Luckily, this gave us fairly decent value, honestly. And while clearing everything there, plus a Necro Assassin, did a pretty nice job. Mainly that's all I could do against Elena here, was continually hope that my board would be stable enough. Taking advantage of soul conversion and a little bit of time, and it's not too bad. We've reached our 20 shadows, which means we do have the Deathly Tyrant. Unfortunately, their healing makes our Deathly Tyrant pretty much unplayable right now. But we don't really have many options, as we do need to deal with that Tenko, which is the 10-11, which is not great. But at the same time, we need to deal with everything else, so it's definitely not a great matchup to have to play against. Luckily, we do have the Lurching Corpse and Soul Conversion, which deals with everything pretty neatly, but we've wasted a lot of removal now. And Soul Squash is going to get us pretty much no value, and the Thermise pretty much ruins everything. So, at least they are now pretty much out of cards, which means all they're really going to be able to do is heal. And we have a lot more cards, so with our board flood, we should be pretty safe. Honestly, this game felt a lot longer when I was playing it. I guess as the turns are just rolling out in the replay, it makes the game seem a lot quicker, but at this point, you know, we'd fast passed turn 10. So it was quite a long time. I mean, this was turn 13. So we were getting along in the turns, and we still haven't seen an Nectar, and we've only got 11 cards left in our deck. At least zombie parties getting absolutely massive amounts of value. This was the point where I was kind of like, I think I've secured this game. This was where I was really quite happy with how it turned out. Most of the game was trading. Right now though, they really can't deal with us, which was great. And they've currently board locked themselves. So really all we were able to do was get damage and heal. So even though they're healing up pretty effectively, it's not too bad. We finally draw an Nectar and can't use it because we've board locked ourselves. But next turn it's pretty much guaranteed that it will be useful. So as long as they didn't have some absolutely crazy card, we were going to be pretty safe.
Look at you. You're hurt. Holy cow.
So next turn is a guaranteed lethal. They did get some massive boosts here though, which was quite impressive. They made a really nice push, but it's still not going to be enough to win this when Ektar can be played out. But considering how far in the deck he was, geez, it took a long time to get there. So we should have time to cover this matchup as well, as the video shouldn't be too long. But Dragon, another fun matchup. Definitely one that can be iffy because they can block out a fair bit of damage using things like Zoe, which can be a problem. Plus their board clears are usually pretty effective. But in this situation, I think we kind of just won out because our board flood was just way too overwhelming, as you're about to see with this match. For the most part, that's what mid-shadow does best. You want to be able to flood the board consistently, continually flood the board, build up shadows, have those big turns with things like Deathly Tyrant and Nectar where the opponent just really can't cope. At the same time as being able to clear things very effectively with Lurching Corpse, Necro Assassin, Zombie Party, while also building board. Really good cards all around. And with Ektar being changed back to its previous nerf state, it is just such an amazing card. You really can't fault it. It's not surprising that in Unlimited this deck is one of the more dominant ones. There's definitely some decks that are better in terms of playability, but overall, it's just the fact that you can do so much. So opponent is ramping pretty hard, but we do have the Lurching Corpse and triple Soul Conversion, so we may as well try and get some draw power. And really just push in some damage. I probably should have went for the Evo on the Chimera, as we would get a nice amount of extra damage then, and wouldn't have needed to worry so much. But it really wasn't too big an issue. Plus, we can now take advantage of our Chimera, getting out a nice amount of followers. And with another nice soul conversion, we can actually set up a full board of followers. So why not? Prince Catacomb guarantees that our board pretty much is unclearable at this point, or if it is clearable, it'll be very difficult. I mean, they could go for a couple of big clears, but that would waste a lot of value for them to clear some skeletons.
Ready to witness my true strength?
So they do an okay job. Definitely not the best thing they could have done, but if we had have got lucky and drawn Ektar there, we actually would have closed this game. I was a little disappointed that we didn't manage to get there. But just because we didn't get there this turn doesn't mean we won't get there in the end. So we can go face pretty comfortably. We've got a nice board, we've got some decent protection with Lurching Corpse. Forces them to waste some of their points. And we still have a nice amount of skeletons. So they are going to force this Evo, which is good for us. Wasting their Evos means less damage to our face. So I decided to go for the Skeleton Evo. This gives us 5 damage to their face, which is a huge advantage. And Zombie Party, we lose out on one zombie, but I think it was worth it just to clear that and develop our board a little bit more. Especially since we get to keep a couple of skeletons here, even if they cleared this. So I was pretty comfortable with the play. And we have Demon Eater draw. It's a pretty nice draw, Demon Eater, honestly. And using it now gives us a chance to draw into Ektar, which was the plan. So being able to get that chance, and luckily we get it, which is awesome. Even if we hadn't, we still would have been very close to closing. But this guaranteed us the win, so why not? So while there's nothing too major changed in Mid-Shadow over the years, well, over the last year, I mean, it's been over 12 months since Mid-Shadow was dominant in the meta as a primary deck where it absolutely dominated everything, and the only real addition has been Lady of Grey. Everything else is pretty stock standard to what Mid-Shadow has always done. It's just such a steady deck, and it's always had a lot of value, so in Unlimited it's still amazing. Even when Ektar was nerfed, it was still quite a powerful deck. It just wasn't quite the tier it is now, but hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find the deck list in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.